Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel, and I'm not going to lie, I always take a little bit of glee when I see a company like the Young Turks that is so outwardly progressive get slammed for basically racial discrimination in a lawsuit. I'm not going to lie. There's a little bit of glee there. And it has a lot to do with the fact that I feel like, in essence, the Young Turks are predominantly smug. The way that Cenk and Anna and almost anyone else who works there treats a lot of people who disagree with them is just, it's very smug. And I'm not saying I'm any better. I can be a very smug individual time to time, but I can at least acknowledge that I'm smug. They always take it to what I feel is like the nth degree. And as a result of that, we find ourselves always kind of like laughing at them and making fun of them because they always do this sort of thing. So when they were sued by a guy named Andrew Jones for racial discrimination, I felt this kind of funny to talk about it. So it says here that the Young Turks progressive news and media company has been sued by a former employee who alleged he was subject to discrimination treatment and ultimately fired because he's black. Andrew Jones, a black journalist who worked for TYT for 6 months in 2017, alleged he was held to a different standard than white colleagues. Jones claimed he was fired after he refused to sign a severance agreement under which he would agree to not sue TYT for racial discrimination. Jones's lawsuit seeks compensatory damages and punitive damages of at least $75,000 plus attorney fees and litigation's costs. He says that he suffered economic injury in the form of lost wages and a harmed reputation, as well as considerable emotional distress, according to the lawsuit, and TYT did not respond for comment. And why would they respond for comment? This is like an ongoing thing. They whatever. The news, they always have to put that in there stuff. Like, we reached out, but like nothing really happened. So, okay. So this guy got a job working for TYT. Claims that he was put on unrealistic standards in terms of getting the job done, and claims that he was fired for being black. That is a very, very, very difficult thing to prove, and it's going to be one that, even asking for $75,000, he's probably hoping for settling. It's a low enough number to where it's not going to financially impact them, extremely terrible, but it's definitely not going to help them out, in the long run. I think, I don't know. That's my take on it. It's like, it's a low enough number. 75,000 plus, lawyer fees is like something that TYT, who just recently got $20 million in VC funding, they're not going to sweat 75 grand essentially. Right. So that's probably what his angle is. Got to go a little low and they'll go, oh yeah, we'll just settle it. It'll be cheaper in the long run than making it happen. But ultimately it's about more than just that. It is honestly about more than just that. Here's what Jones claims he went through. Jones complained to TYT Network CEO Cenk Ugyur about his perceived mistreatment by a manager. Mr. Ugyur ignored all of his complaints and instead implied threatened, stating that his complaints and the method of his complaining about perceived unequal treatment by a supervisor could be a fireable offense in and of itself, according to the lawsuit. Now, I just want to jump in on that and say, like, so he went to Cenk and he was like, yo, dude, like, this is happening. Basically, he feels he's being mistreated by his boss. He's claiming it's because of the race card. He's playing that card. And Cenk is like, look, if you keep saying these things, you not showing it or whatever, then this can be considered a fireable offense, which it very much can. And it seems that in this case, it very much did. So I do find the overall accusation to be interesting, because this guy already, I feel, had a chip on his shoulder about this and wanted to, okay, here's the thing. And this might get me in a little bit of trouble, but here's the thing. When it comes to where we currently stand in the progressive, like, activist side of things, if you feel something, that means that's 100% valid and that you should be therefore compensated or, having that opinion validated, right? Like, you should be given what you want because you feel a certain way. Well, in this particular case, he's saying that he complained about being mistreated, about perceived unequal treatment by his supervisor, and that, well, Cenk was like, look, you keep saying this, that's a fireable offense if you keep trying to make accusations that simply aren't true. So Cenk is backing the employees, which actually gives me more respect for Cenk overall, because I feel that so many times in many other companies, the supervisor could have been fired right away for this particular accusation without any evidence having come forward. But let's get back to the story. Now, Cenk responds, he responded back in January by saying, the comments Jones attributed to him were completely false. Of course, we care a great deal about diversity in the workplace. That is part and parcel of what we do and who we are. We will defend our record and not give in to baseless demands. Now, during his employment at TYT, Jones alleged in his lawsuit that managing editor Jonathan Larson threatened him unfairly in multiple ways compared to white coworkers, including denying Jones a travel budget, requiring different and shorter deadlines, demanding higher and ever-shifting standards for articles, and responding more slowly and even engaging in general hostile behavior. Okay, so you've got this guy who is going to work for a media company. It's an independent media company with a bunch of moving parts in it. He wants to travel, maybe to cover certain stories, was told by his boss, no, because he only worked there for a few months. So essentially it's I don't know, the way I view that is like, well, what have you done to earn this particular budget? But then he goes on to say that he was treated unfairly to white coworkers, but doesn't specify how or why. Is there like a pecking order? Is there going to be certain perks based upon merit of job performance? What are these things here? When you start just kind of putting out this blanket, oh, I'm treated unfairly statement without really breaking down the nitty gritty and then trying to attack your supervisor by making these claims against him, it doesn't really hold up to me much for the argument, at least. But then saying also that demanding higher and ever shifting articles, that seems like just the way things are. The digital landscape, regardless of where you stand in it, is very much shifting. It's ever shifting. All right. Like the way I do content now could be different from a year from now, depending on where things are. Where I am now compared to where I was a year ago is different-ish because of where things are now. And that is just where we find ourselves in this particular landscape. And so Andrew Jones here, I feel like he went in there with a chip on his shoulder, and he went in there with a very entitled attitude. And when he didn't get it, this is where he finds himself feeling like he's been slighted and therefore suing the Young Turks. Now, it goes on to say that Jones also alleged that David Kohler, the head of HR and one of the founders of TYT, called Jones to discuss his concerns, saying Mr. Kohler acted concerned and stated he would start an investigation into the matter given the gravity of the charges. However, plaintiff never heard back from him again. Plaintiff never heard from anyone else concerning an investigation being conducted or completed, so it's highly likely no investigation ever occurred. In addition, Jones alleged that Kohler is publicly known for making racist comments, for example, referring to less affluent black people in the South who relax on their porch on hot summer days as po black people just hanging out in the heat. What kind of accusation is that? I mean, granted, yeah, you see what it is there. It's like, oh, it's racial bias in TYT. I would argue that given how they are on the progressive side of things, that's probably very, very, very minimal. And then he's just upset that no one returned his phone call, right? And it's entirely, the thing is, maybe they should have called back and said, we did an investigation, found nothing was wrong. We terminated you with good reason, and so there's that. But apparently they didn't quite like how Jones acted, which is why they eventually placed him on a probationary 2-week evaluation period because he claims he was told Jones had failed to create any original or exclusive content. On October 5th, Jones allegedly failed to meet Larson's professional standards. TYT pushed for plaintiff to sign a severance package where he would waive his civil rights claim, receive approximately 1 month's salary, and resign. According to the lawsuit, Jones refused to sign the agreement and was fired. So yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. So this guy, he, wasn't working out there. According to them, he wasn't creating original and exciting content, which basically, like I said, he was new. He wanted a travel budget. He wasn't given a travel budget, but his content didn't match the reason why he would need one. If he's cranking out like stuff that's deep diving into these issues, like let's say Vice or whatever, he probably went in there thinking it would be like Vice, and then he would be able to travel the world on TYT's budget, covering these stories that he wants to tell. And then ultimately wasn't providing what they wanted, wasn't giving them what they wanted. So they put him on an evaluation period. And then they said, look, dude, it's not working out. We're going to give you a severance package. It'll be 1 month, but here we have you sign these documents. He refused. So they fired him. And now he's suing them for $75,000. Like I said before, I do feel ultimately like he is trying to get the money, set it at such a low bar to where they'll just pay him. They'll just pay him out. They'll just pay him out and they'll be done with it because it won't be worth the legal troubles. And that could be a valid move. It could be a valid maneuver on his part. At the same time, I just have to laugh because this does feel like a baseless accusation. And I love it when TYT gets egg on their face. I love it when there's a good, solid, valid reason to criticize them. because you were a bad employee and you were not up to their standard, you were demanding things and feeling entitled to things, ultimately led to you producing piss poor content, nothing original, and then they let you go. There's that. So I think that's where we are right now. I think that's what we're going to find out. And I'm curious to know what you guys have to say about this. Let me know down in the comments below. Do you think this guy is telling the truth? Do you think he's lying? Do you think TYT is just going to settle out of court and give him some money, cut him a check to make him go away? Or are they going to fight this? I want to hear your thoughts. If you haven't already, please thumbs up the video, subscribe, and check back often for more content from me. My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Monday Matt Channel. Have yourself a great day and peace out. If you enjoyed this video, please consider becoming a patron today for just $1 per month over at patreon.com/mundanemat.